Utah was a bitter loser who didn't believe in love. However, everything changes when his father remarries, and he gets a hot stepsister who wants to make forbidden babies with him. The story begins when Utah's father suddenly tells Utah that he's considering getting married again, which shocks Utah. The old man then reveals that the lady in question is a bartender who recently took care of him when he passed out from excessive drinking. He then promises to introduce her to Utah after he's done with the day's work, and even though Utah feels his father is making a rash decision, he's cool with it as long as his old man is happy. He claims he wouldn't mind their relationship and will keep doing his usual thing, but his father tells him things will change a lot as he'll be getting a little stepsister. So later that night, he joins his father at a restaurant to see his new stepmommy and stepsister. There, he is shocked to see that the stepsister named Saki is actually a baddie compared to the throwback picture he saw. Saki's mother, Akiko, notices Utah's reaction and apologizes for sending an old picture, claiming that Saki isn't the photogenic type and all she had was an old picture. Later, the new step-buddies are out getting drinks, when Saki opens up to Utah that she's relieved he's not the scary type based on what she's seen so far. She also finds it impressive that Utah is diligently working to save up for college and has good grades, regardless of that. To counter this, Utah jokes that scary guys can be pretty smart, which makes Saki laugh. Not long after, Saki tries to talk to Utah in private, and Utah is pleased that he has already earned her trust in the little time they've spent together. Saki just goes to the point and lets him know that she does not expect anything from him, so he should not expect anything from her either, and hopes he understands where she's coming from. Hearing this makes him relieved, and he lets her know that and also encourages her to keep that energy, because he expects nothing from her either. The following week, Utah's father nervously cleans the apartment in anticipation of Saki and Akiko's arrival. Just then, the doorbell suddenly rings, so Utah receives Saki and Akiko, and Akiko is very impressed with the scent of the apartment, not knowing that Utah and his father have been cleaning the apartment for days. Then, Utah shows Saki her new room. There, Saki opens up that she used to share a one-room apartment with her mother, so Utah feels bad and apologizes to her for having to share an apartment with two guys she just met. However, Saki does not really care about this and just asks why he is being too formal with her instead. He explains that it's probably because they are age mates, but Saki isn't cool with it because she wants him to ease up around her and be himself. Utah agrees to her request and decides to drop the formalities. He then continues to help her set up her room till he mistakenly falls, only for him to get up and see he is holding what Saki uses to package her milkers. Flushed, he quickly drops it, causing the others to laugh at him. The arrangement continues until evening, and while at it, he finds out that he actually goes to the same school as Saki. He then tells her that he will do his best to avoid her at school, and even though Saki sees no reason at first, she realizes it will be better if they do. Before she can get into her explanation, he suddenly receives a phone call and excuses himself to pick it up. The next day, Utah resumes work, and Shiori, his work colleague, teases him for smelling like a chick. Since he had told her about Saki before, she figures that she must have moved in. She then begins to tease him after learning Saki is beautiful, but he doesn't think it's the right time to entertain such thoughts because he is more stressed out about how they are supposed to act as siblings. When he returns to his apartment, he sees Saki sitting in the living room, and even though he is taken aback, he announces that he is home. Unfortunately, Saki doesn't know how to reply because she and her mother had opposite schedules and they never greeted each other when they came home. Although she claims she has a good relationship with her mom, today is the first time in a while that they have gone shopping together, and she loved it. Hearing Saki open up like this makes Utah feel like they got a good dynamic going. Since it's late, he walks off to freshen up in the shower. Not long after, Saki suddenly hears a sound coming from the bathroom, and she is surprised to see that he is actually helping her keep the water warm for when she wants to take her bath. The next morning, Utah walks out of his room only to see Saki doing the dishes. Like a good brother, he asks if she had a good sleep, and he learns that she did. She also thanks him for his kind gesture with the water, but tells him not to do it again. Surprised, he wonders why, and Saki explains that it's just going to be a waste of water. She then excuses herself to go to school while he watches her leave, wondering what kind of chick she is. Later that morning, Utah stares at Saki from the top of their school building, only for Maru, his best pal, to interrupt him. Thinking Utah is looking for ways to unplot Saki, Maru tells him to dead the idea. Utah assures him it's not like that since he is not good enough to bag such a baddie anyway, but Maru has a completely different reason. Apparently, there is a rumor about Saki plotting several dudes in exchange for some cash, and her blonde hair, multiple piercings, and nasty look do not give her a good impression amongst the other students. Utah does not believe the rumor at first, but when he hears Maru talk about how several dudes have confirmed the story, he starts to believe it. During tennis lessons later in the day, Utah suddenly interrupts Saki, who is listening to music, to ask if she will be skipping the lesson. Surprised, she asks why he is engaging her in a discussion, and she learns that he gets worried when someone he knows tries to skip lessons. As they continue to converse, Utah informs her that the reason he chose tennis lessons is that there are no team matches, and he dislikes having to depend on someone for something. In response, she shares that they have the same sentiment on why they chose the sport, but her reason is that she likes to keep her distance from people. Concerned, Utah asks if she has trouble fitting into her class because he does not expect a baddie of her caliber to have such troubles. She then replies that people leaving her alone gives her more time for herself, like listening to music. After the day's classes, Utah returns home and meets Saki's mother at the entrance, preparing to go to work. He finds out that she had already cooked dinner, and even though he feels bad for putting her through such stress, she assures him that it is fine. She then proceeds to leave and informs him to look after Saki. Though he feels like the responsibility is huge, he agrees to do so. A few hours later, Saki enters his room to inform him of her arrival, and seeing that he is studying, she helps him to switch on the lights to avoid getting bad eyesight. Since she feels he is doing a fantastic job juggling school and work, she asks if he knows of any easy part-time job that pays really well because she would love to walk in his footsteps. He replies that it may be quite difficult to get such jobs, and this makes her disappointed that she will have to keep selling herself. Hearing the word sell quickly alerts Saki, and he advises her to take better care of her body. She claims that she already does, which is why she wants to earn a lot of money to keep up with the standard. This makes him feel like she is beginning to look like a lost cause, and he asks if she can utter such a statement in front of her mother. She claims she can, and her mother is even going to be happy about it, making him wonder what kind of family they are. She then asks if his father wasn't thrilled when he first got into it, and he finally realizes that she has actually been talking about her part-time job and not what he heard from Maru. So later that night, while they settle for dinner, he apologizes for being insensitive, but she assures him that it's fine. She already knows about the crazy rumor and how they bother about her dress, but she dresses that way to put up a defense to survive in society. To prove her point, she asks if she saw her mother leave the house, and when he confirms that he did, she asks if she looked pretty while going to work. Apparently, her mother didn't do college, and most people wonder why such a beautiful chick like her mother works in nightlife. The people even go as far as calling her stupid for trying to weaponize her looks for everything, which makes Utah blurt out that it's nonsense. Agreeing with his statement, she continues to talk about how people label chicks who are not pretty but smart as overeducated snobs and label pretty chicks as dumb gold diggers who use their bodies to get ahead in life. So she decides to be different by wearing such clothes as a kind of armor to look perfect and stand out, before she starts to worry about being perfect at school and work. Hearing this, he asks if it's not going to be exhausting for her, but she assures him that as long as she can prove them wrong, then it is worth it. The conversation soon moves on to her trying to get a job so that she can be independent, and he assures her that he will look into trying to get her a decent job. Since she does not like owing people, she tells him not to worry about it, so he tells her to prepare a meal in exchange for helping her get a job. The next morning, Utah walks out of his room to see Saki cooking in the kitchen. Confused, he asks what it's about, and when he learns that she's doing it because of the deal they made yesterday, he explains that he meant it for dinner and not for breakfast. However, Saki has a personal policy of giving more than she takes, which is why she planned to make breakfast. During dinner later that night, Utah informs Saki to try to depend on her family more often after having a conversation about being independent with Shiori at work during the day. Hearing this makes Saki inform him that she did not know he had close female friends, which takes Saki aback because he cannot believe that is what she got from the whole explanation. She then tells him that she is rooting for them to smash, before getting serious and talking about how she still wants to be self-reliant, even though what Shiori said is correct. The next day, on his way to school, he spots Saki with her earphones in, completely unaware she's about to walk straight into a truck. So when he saves her and scolds her for not being careful enough, it puts a strain on their building relationship, as Saki just ignores him during tennis lessons later on at school. 3 days later, Utah lies in his bed thinking about how Saki brought her friend Maya to their apartment unannounced the previous day. Though Saki apologized for the sudden intrusion and blamed it on her inability to reach him beforehand because she did not have his cell number, Maya already knows they are now siblings. He learned that approaching her during tennis lessons to talk to her played a huge factor in Maya figuring it out. He apologized for not being careful enough, but Saki just asked for his cell number in return. Later on, he joins the others for breakfast, and he is impressed by the meal Saki's mother made. After the meal, he washes the dishes and asks Saki and her mother if it would be right to add their clothes to the week's laundry. Saki's mother replies that she is okay doing the laundry herself, but he is too modest for her to do that. She then begins to talk about the delicate clothes involved in laundry, and sensing that he is clueless about what she is talking about, she assures him that she and Saki will handle it. She also informs him that he will be washing his father's undergarments, so she asks if she should wash his, too. This catches him completely off guard because he cannot believe how she said it so casually. After that, he heads to school with Saki, and she apologizes for her mother's insensitive question because he may have actually preferred women's silky garments. She then continues her assumption by talking about how he must have preferred getting dolled up in private because she has never caught him with makeup kits. He quickly tells her to hold her horses for a second and catches up to her to assure her that he is not a drag queen. That evening, he returns and checks Saki's room to see if she is back. He only sees her undergarments amongst other clothes on her hanger, so when she suddenly interrupts him to announce she's back, he rushes to his room in embarrassment, claiming that he is going to work. At work, he suddenly receives a text from her asking if his cultured eyes were really having a field day with her undergarments. So when he returns home, and she continues to pester him, he confirms they were, and she hands him a cup of tea, which leaves him confused because he thought he was cooked. She then lets him know that his eyes being drawn to her undergarments is a reflexive action, and she does not think he is the kind of guy who doesn't learn from his mistakes. Hearing this makes him relieved, and he tells her that although he had the urge to steal it, he knows better than to act on it. The next day at school, during tennis lessons, Maya walks up to him to tease him by calling him One-chan, knowing fully well that he wants her relationship with Saki to be kept a secret in school. She then asks what's up with Saki because she's been moody since morning, so after the lessons, he texts her to ask if something happened to her. He did not receive a reply until late in the evening while working at the bookstore, and it was just a no she sent. Later in the evening, the two settle down for a silent dinner since their parents are not back from work. After dinner, she has her bath, makes her hair presentable, heads to his room unclothed, and asks if he is willing to do some cracking. Saki has actually been keeping a diary of her days since she started living at Utah's apartment, and when they got introduced, she is relieved that the guy is actually not a bad person, given the way he welcomed her. So when they started getting to know each other, and she learnt that she believed the rumors about her, she was a little annoyed about it, even though she understood why. However, when he scolded her for not being careful on the road, she felt very embarrassed because she was actually listening to English lessons on her earphones. Eventually, they were able to get through that awkward phase when Maya visited the apartment, and she even got his contact info at the end of that day. They then continued to get to know each other even after the undergarment fiasco, and she realizes that all his thoughts are something she definitely relates to, which feels a little bit unsettling. Now back in his room, he lets her know that she's acting exactly like the kind of chicks he dislikes. He then asks if he thought she didn't like it when chicks try to use their looks as weapons to get ahead. He covers her with clothes and points out that if she can't prove people wrong in a way that does not depend on the fact that she's a woman, then there is no point in her trying to make a difference. This makes her open up about how her father used to be a really nice guy until his company folded up. Then he stopped trusting people, and her mother had to step up as the new breadwinner, but he did not like that either. Her father would always shade her mother's work, and even though she understood that her father was going through a rough patch, she did not like the fact that her father took her frustration out on her mother. He completely understands where she is coming from because his mother also cheated on her father, which made him and his father paranoid about women for some time. Hearing this makes her glad that they have a lot in common, even the broken parts, and he agrees with her on that. He also lets her know that despite those broken parts, he still has a feeling they are going to get along all right as brothers and sisters. She understands that he's trying to set boundaries between them so she won't pull this stunt again, but when he suggests she calls him Big Brother, she just laughs in response and proceeds to take her leave. Though when it's time to write in her diary, she explains that she cannot bring herself to call him Big Brother because that means she will probably start depending on him for everything, and she is too independent for that. Also, when she calls him his name, she gets this indescribable feeling in her chest that is very different from the way she would feel if he calls him Big Brother, and just like that, she realizes that she may have started falling for him. 3 days later, Utah returns home from school to see Saki already waiting for him. Seeing him, Saki immediately moves closer to him and literally orders him to teach her English literature because she sucks at the subject. So, when the two settle down to arrange their washed clothes, she takes the time to explain how she never understands how the characters in the novel she reads for the subject feel. She then informs him of how important it is for her to pass her retest, because if she fails again, she will have to take makeup lessons during the summer break. She plans to work during the summer vacation, and she wouldn't want anything to stop that, so he then offers to help her study if she will be okay with that, and she thanks him. Later in the evening, Utah sits down with Saki to scrutinize her work, and he finds out that she struggles with the novel section of the test. He asks what part she finds the hardest, and she points out how she never understands what the main characters in the novel are thinking or the motives behind the choices they make. Sensing this may be harder than he thought, he asks if she at least knows that the male lead in the novel fell in love with the female lead. This surprises her, so she asks if he means it romantically. He replies that she must remember that the main lead gets jealous whenever dudes try to approach the female lead with the hope of getting her to make happy noises for them. Saki says that if it bothers him so much, he should have addressed it with her, but Utah claims that it may be psychologically challenging for him to tell the chick he's feeling that he does not mind smashing her. Still, Saki finds people who hide their true feelings weird, so Utah tries to explain by asking if she can imagine a situation where she couldn't express her feelings, like maybe the first time she fell in love. Unfortunately, Saki has never been in love, and neither has Utah, so they can't depend on his explanation to save Saki's grades. He then suggests they try another logic by approaching modern literature like it's a math puzzle, since she is good with history. He suggests it may be easier for her to understand modern literature if she remembers the historical context of when the novel was written and tries linking the knowledge to the novel for better understanding. Saki sees reason in what he says and agrees to his suggestion, so he urges her to start practicing some questions before the retest. Hearing this makes the pressure of the retest get to her, and she asks him if she thinks she can ace the retest. Utah assures that she will, and she promises to do her best with the practice. After practicing for hours, Saki confirms with Utah that she aced the practice questions she had just finished solving, which makes her sigh in relief. Utah also informs her that if she masters the recommended novels, then the retake should be a breeze. The next morning, Saki continues to prepare for her retest. Just then, Utah walks out of his room, and she stands to go make him breakfast. He tells her to sit down, claiming that he will get himself something to eat so she can focus on studying. Saki is not cool with this because of their deal to always prepare the meal, so Saki acts as her instructor and tells her to concentrate on her studies because he wants her to ace the test. Later in the day at school, Utah searches the net for ways to help Saki study better, and Maya sees him from afar. She then sneaks up on him, but he is too focused on his phone to notice, so when she finally calls him 1A-chan, he becomes startled. Seeing that it is just Maya, he relaxes a bit, but Maya starts to sniff him like a female dog on heat because she loves his scent. Her actions make him uncomfortable, but Maya claims that they are close now that she knows his little secret, so she continues to tease him by calling him different names associated with Oni-chan. Utah points out that she is quite spirited today, and she claims that it's because she's done with her exams. Utah then finds out that behind her weird personality, she is actually topping her class. So he uses the opportunity to ask her for help on how to get Saki to study more efficiently for her retest. Maya is touched to see that Utah actually pays attention to Saki, so she agrees to help her out. She mentions that background music helps her study a lot, but she has no recommendations because she just listens to whatever comes on. Later in the evening, after he is done with his shift at the bookstore, Utah announces to Shiori that he is about to bounce, only to see her resting. Shiori then complains about how she feels exhausted because the store is so crowded that the air conditioning is not having any effect, and how tired she is from having to carry books. So, she asks him to nurse her to health, but he ignores her request and proceeds to walk out. This makes her begin to shade him for abandoning her for a new chick, referring to Saki, and he stops in his tracks to return her. Since she asks him to spill any tea going on between him and Saki, he opens up to her that there is no tea, but he would love her advice on something. Not long after, they settle down to talk about it, and Shiori learns about how he has been looking for background music to help Saki study. She then recommends the one she uses and offers her ear pods for him to hear in high quality. The sound he hears pleases him as he walks home after the meeting. So when he gets home to give Saki to listen to the music, she finds the sound really great, and he suggests she uses it as background music when studying. She also learns that Shiori introduced the music to him, and she becomes a little jealous. She then tries to confirm their closeness, and he just lets her know that they happen to share a lot of shifts together. Since she has been doing a good job of preparing their meals, he hopes that his simple gesture returns the favor a little. She thanks him and promises to listen to it, after which she heads to her room. But before she finally enters, she turns to tell him goodnight, and he replies with a slight smile on his face. Following weekend, Utah continues his work at the bookstore as he and Shiori proceed to arrange a new order of books that has just arrived. He finds out that the book has been recently adapted into a movie, and he proceeds to explain what happened in the book. It turns out that the story is about a dude who sees a chick carrying an old violin in a park at midnight. However, dudes from the chick's past always chase after her when they see her with the violin. So while unraveling the mystery behind the instrument, the dude joins the chick on a journey through time and space. After he is done with the reading, he suggests that they shelve the book facing outwards since the book's movie is still hot in the cinema, and Shiori agrees. While at it, Shiori suggests they go watch the movie after they are done with their shifts, and he agrees, claiming he will message his parents to inform them. So when they are done with work, they head to the cinema to check the movie out. On the way, Shiori asks if he is going to message Saki so she won't be worried, but he refuses because he doubts Saki will be worried about him. Inside the theater, they begin to watch the movie. They watch how the male lead runs into the female lead one night at a park, and the chick gives him the violin with her because she does not want the dudes after the violin to get it. Confused, the dude asks what the chick is trying to talk about, but the chick cuts him off mid-conversation and continues to plead with him to take it because she has only 6 months left to live. So together they time travel to the past and begin to run away from the dudes trying to get the violin. The dude wonders why the other dudes are chasing after the instrument like it's some mommy milkers they are desperate to fondle. The chick then explains that it's probably because the violin is really old, and for some reason, these dudes chasing them give off the smell of being old. This statement earns laughter from the people in the cinema as they continue to watch the crazy adventure. The movie soon ends on a sad note with the dude asking the chick, who is now sick in bed, if there is anywhere she would love to go before she kicks the bucket. Though the chick is weak, she grabs his hand. As this is going on, Shiori is being watched by Utah to see if she is crying her eyes out, but Shiori is just focused on the movie. After the movie, Utah escorts Shiori home, and, on the way, she promises she owes him one for walking her back. Utah tells her it's not a big deal, but she insists, so she lets her be. Not long after, they stop at a vending machine, and Shiori gets him a canned drink. Seeing how he opens the drink, Shiori praises his skills and wishes she had recorded the process so the whole world could see. Even though he asks that his privacy be protected, she continues to talk about how the video will get more views than the last video your ex posted on their socials. He replies that it's nothing to brag about, and this makes Shiori talk about how he is really fun to be with and always kind to her. Hearing this makes him wonder what has gotten into her to make her emotional, and she decides to play a little prank to lighten the mood. She suddenly tells him that she has 6 months left to live, just like how the chick in the movie they watched said it. He knows she is clearly lying, but he plays along by stretching forth his hands for her to hold and informs her to follow him. The vending machine soon interrupts their little acting, and Shiori's senses suddenly kick in, and she bends down to cover her face. After her little display, she informs that she acted like that because their current view reminds her of the park in the movie. He confirms this and jokes about how the only thing missing is the fact that he can't time travel. They then continue to walk till he escorts her to her street. As they part ways, he thanks her for helping him with the background music, highlighting how it made Saki happy, and Shiori tells him to send her regards to Saki. The next morning, during breakfast, Saki asks if he went to see a movie the previous night, and he is shocked to see her figure that out. He then replies that he did and mentions the name of the movie. The title makes Saki realize that she has seen the commercial in the movie before she asks for the reviews. Utah confirms that the movie is actually very nice and he recommends it, but Saki still has a test coming up, so she decides to read the book instead since it will help with her literature grade. She then blurts out what's been bothering her mind by asking if he is smashing his work colleague. Hearing this makes him spill the tea he is drinking, after which he confirms that Shiori is just a coworker. She then learns that they got close over their shared love for books, and she considers reading books too. Then later in the afternoon, when Utah resumes his shift at the bookstore with Shiori, Shiori suddenly sees a clueless chick trying to look for a book, so she goes to meet her. However, the clueless chick turns out to be Saki, causing Utah to call her name in surprise. Hearing that she is Utah's stepsister, Shiori starts being nice to her and offers to help her with any book she is looking for. Confused, Utah asks who she is, and she finds out that she is Utah's infamous work colleague. Saki then explains that she is there to get a study guide and the novel of the movie they watched. She also asks Utah to recommend some good books since he has read many books to help her study, and he complies. Soon after, he helps her pick out some books and directs her to where she can find the study guide. Saki thanks him for his good work, and as she proceeds to leave, she turns seconds later to inform him that he looks good in his apron. leaving him flushed. Not long after, Shiori settles down in the break room to tell Yuta about how hot Saki is. While at it, she pitches Saki to Yuta, claiming she is the real deal, but Yuta doesn't see her that way because she is her little sister. Unknown to him, Saki is actually listening in on their conversation, so when she hears this, she sadly takes her leave. At school the next day, Yuta quickly informs Maru that he only asked questions about studying. Surprised, Yuta replies that he will consider it when he finally grows the balls to approach one. But Maru maintains his stance, especially because the rumor also involves her calling him One-chan. Hearing this leaves his tongue tied because he will have to start explaining from the beginning, which will involve him mentioning his relationship with Saki. However, Maru just advises him to come to him if he needs any advice on how to get cultured with chicks. Maru walks up to Yuta to confirm if the rumors of him and Maya fondling each other are true. After classes that day, he proceeds to head home, and Maya suddenly approaches him. Thankfully, Saki joins them seconds later and is glad the two of them are together. Maya then suddenly suggests they all head home together. Surprised, he wonders why Maya would want to follow him, and Maya lets him know that it's the best time to visit Saki's place. Hearing this turns his surprise to confusion, and Saki apologizes on the way home that she asked Maya to help her study at home in preparation for her test the next day. Getting home, Maya begins to act like she owns the place. This makes Saki apologize on behalf of her friend, but Yuta, being kind as ever, wishes her good luck with studying. He then enters his room and sighs deeply, because he knows it is going to be a long evening. On the other hand, Maya begins to teach Saki modern literature in the living room. Later in the evening, Yuta interrupts their teaching by switching on the living room light. This makes Saki stand up to get ready for dinner, but Yuta assures her that he will get it done himself, so she should focus on her studies. Saki thanks him for his kind gesture and returns to her work, but Maya decides to use the opportunity to tease him for being good husband material. Shortly after, Yuta starts to search the net on how to cook a good meal before he ends up burning the kitchen. As he continues to contemplate what to do, Maya joins him in the kitchen. At first, he thinks she wants a drink in the fridge, so he proceeds to direct her, but she stops him midway because she just wants to see what he's been up to in the kitchen. Even though he is embarrassed, he explains how he is finding it hard to come up with a recipe. Maya decides to help him out and calls out to Saki to confirm if she is okay with revising on her own. After getting the confirmation that Saki will be fine, Maya turns to Yuta and promises to stun him with a taste of her housewifey powers. She then looks up recipes online and begins to teach Yuta how to go about it, like he signed up for a cooking tutorial. As this is going on, Saki continues to focus on her books, listening to the background music that Yuta got her. Soon after, Maya suddenly asks Yuta if his relationship with Saki is strictly sibling level or the kind that belongs on those cultured corners of the internet. Yuta replies that it would only complicate things if they were. Maya then decides to act as the devil's advocate by advising him to go for it since they are not blood related. Yuta refuses her request, brushing off her repeated claims that Saki likes him, and their back and forth drags on until the food is ready. After Maya leaves the apartment, Yuta and Saki settle down for dinner. As they eat, Saki thanks Yuta for really going out of the way to prepare such a decent meal for her. Yuta accepts her gratitude and asks about the progress on her study. He learns that it is going great, although Maya faults her study method for being roundabout and inefficient. Yuta feels down about this, but Saki assures him not to worry because she is sure she will ace the test. Yuta then lets her know he will be rooting for her, and this warms her heart. The next day at school, Yuta begins to worry about Saki's test. Getting home that night after a shitty day at work, he finds the apartment empty, which leaves him unimpressed. To make matters worse, rain suddenly starts falling, and he runs out to pack the clothes spread outside. After that, he sits down to fold the clothes, only to hear on the news that heavy rain showers have hit the city and are preventing people from reaching their homes. Hearing this makes Yuta worry, so he sends her a text to find out her current location. Receiving no response after waiting for minutes, he grabs 2 umbrellas and runs out to look for her. Getting to the elevator, he waits for it to open, and the moment it does, he runs into it only to bump into Saki, who is on her way back to the apartment. He apologizes immediately, but Saki is more concerned about where he is currently rushing to. Yuta then explains that he was actually going to look for her because he was worried that she might have failed the test and was crying somewhere. Saki apologizes for getting him worried and shows her the 94 she got on the test, though she is not happy with the score because she planned to beat his 96 score. She then lets him know that she stopped at the department store for groceries, which is another reason why she is arriving late. It turns out that Saki wants to prepare a meal as a means of appreciation, but Yuta feels like he does not deserve that because it was a fair exchange. She then highlights the various ways he helped her out, but he just counters each claim with the times she has helped him, too. This makes her wonder if he feels that he can only rely on Shiori. Hearing this shocks him, and he wonders how she came up with that logic. She explains that she feels like the only person he really trusts to have his back is Shiori. He lets her know it's because they work together, but she just moves closer to him and asks him to depend on her, just as he depends on her at work. However, he ignores her request and offers to prepare a meal for her instead, so she resigns and agrees to her request. Then the next day at work, Yuta is shocked to see someone who looks like Saki walk into the staff room. Just then, his manager approaches him to take a break, and he uses the opportunity to find out that Saki is actually at the bookstore for a job interview. For the past week, Saki has continued to detail her inner feelings in her diary. She wrote about how she realized Yuta is good at explaining things, and thanks to that, she has had hope in passing her retest. She also highlighted how the background music he got her was great, and she is impressed that he went out of his way to do something good for him. However, she felt uneasy that he got the music from Shiori, the infamous work colleague, whom he claims he is not smashing, and even though she has no right to input it into her diary, she does it anyway. When he returns home from work late one day and overhears him talking to her mother about going somewhere with a chick, she feels sad that he did not tell her about it, even though he has no reason to. She then began to wonder if it was Shiori, and she felt quite uneasy about it. Out of curiosity, she went to check out Shiori at the bookstore, and she could not stop thinking about how they'd make a good couple. After acing her retest days after, she went back to the bookstore to keep studying little by little. So, when someone approached her because he caught her looking at the part-timers wanted posters, she told him he was interested without even thinking it through, because it would also help her save some cash. Afterwards, she began to feel bad about thinking of getting a job at his bookstore without informing him. So when she lied to him that she was late because she stopped at the department store, it was actually because she was interviewing for the bookstore job. She continues to have unresolved feelings for him still, and she decided to give herself a test to explain the nature of the feelings she is experiencing in one word. The following week, Yuta and the other members of his family settle for breakfast. While at it, his father finds out that Yuta and Saki still call each other by their family names. Saki's mother also chimes in to ask if the two are embarrassed to use their given names. She receives no response in return, but she continues to pester them by encouraging Saki to call Yuta Big Brother. Saki, who already has strong feelings a sister is not supposed to have for a brother, blurts out that it does not feel right. His father then asks if he feels the same way, and he agrees with Saki's point. After breakfast, his father learns that he and Saki will be resuming their part-time work, which makes him worried. Yuta thinks his father is worried about how he is juggling work with summer cram school since they are on holiday, so he assures him that he is fine. He then learns that it is not the issue, and his father is more concerned about how all he does is bury himself in work. His father feels like he is not taking the time to enjoy the summer vacation, and he needs to take that chance now, before having to concentrate on examinations when he resumes next session. His father then encourages him to go out with his friends, but he is literally a loser with no fun friends to hang out with. So he turns to Saki to ask if her friends have plans, and she confirms that they don't. The next day at work, Yuta and Shiori watch Saki like proud parents as she attends to the customers. Later on, Yuta instructs Shiori to go provide backup support for Saki, and he complies. Getting to her, he finds out that she is having trouble locating a book. So he takes her to another section to get the book, which really impresses Saki. After their shift, she walks home with Yuta and thanks him once again for helping her out. She then asks how he was able to figure out that the book was where he found it. He explains how he figured it out, and she praises how impressive it is. This makes him make a statement on how he is sure Shiori would have found it faster than him, and Saki does not like that, so she just replies with "oh." The next morning, Yuta walks up to his father, who is currently fixing the air conditioner, and Saki's mother, who is with him, to ask if Saki is already awake. Her mother confirms that she is, but she does not really handle heat well. This surprises Yuta. She only started changing into a quieter version of herself after she started middle school, but her mother still misses the old days. Later in the afternoon, Yuta meets up with Maru for a coffee date. While at it, Maru informs him of yet another rumor he heard about him going to the pool with Maya and some other people. Hearing this surprises him because this is news to him, so he asks Maru for a better explanation. Maru then points it out to him carefully that he is talking about him and Saki going to the pool with Maya. He confirms that the rumor is baseless, and Maru concludes that they may still reach out to him. Maru then checks his time and sees that it's already late for him to begin his part-time shift, so he quickly informs him. In the evening, he walks back home with Saki. While at it, he praises her for being a quick learner and dependable, and she thanks him for his kind words. Not long after, they pass through a family playing, and this makes him reflect on what his father told him about spending the whole summer working. As they continue to walk, Yuta stops Saki to ask if Maya invited her to the pool, and, by chance, she invited him too. Saki then asks if Maya told her that herself, and he replies that Maya does not even have his contact information to begin with. Confused, she wonders how he found out about it, and he explains that someone else gave him the tea. So she asks him if he would like to go, and he opens up to her about how he would probably feel out of place at a pool with a bunch of hot dudes and equally hot chicks. Disappointed by his answer, she continues to walk and advises him not to force himself to go if he is not feeling it. He then calls out to her to ask if she will be going to the pool, and she coldly replies that she is not. Getting home that night, she realizes that the nature of her unresolved feelings is probably jealousy. A few days later, Yuta points out to Saki's mother that their air conditioner is now working perfectly. Hearing this makes her glad because that means Saki will be able to study at home without having to worry about the heat. Since she brought Saki up, Yuta uses the opportunity to ask her if Saki dislikes people that divert from doing what she wants to do. Confused, she asks for a better explanation. Yuta then explains a scenario where something is being planned without her input, and she gets asked to join later on. Her mother replies that, judging from her personality, she does not think she would appreciate such a gesture. She also points out that she would love to be on board from start to finish, and he talks about how that is what he figured out, too. Her mother then teases him for thinking of asking Saki out on a date, and he immediately counters by stating that Saki is his sister. He then explains that Saki is the type of person who always loves to be on guard, so he wonders if she ever actually gives herself a break. Hearing this, her mother realizes that Yuta just wants Saki to have some fun. Her mother also sadly explains that if she had not always been busy with work and had taken more time to let her be a carefree youngling, maybe she would not have grown up to be stuck up. So, to make it up to her, even though it is quite late, she asks Saki to help her with a little favor. On her mother's orders, Yuta goes to knock on Saki's room, and when she opens, he proceeds to invite her to the pool. She cuts him off mid-sentence to inform him that she is not going because she does not have time for it. Yuta then lets her know that he had changed his mind and is now thinking of going, so he would love to get Maya's contact information. Saki refuses to give him her contact information because she believes it is bad manners to give out someone's contact information without their permission. She then lets him know she will inform Maya herself and give him a response when she hears back from her, after which she slams her door in his face, leaving him hanging. During summer cram class later in the day, a hot chick in glasses hands Yuta something he mistakenly dropped. He thanks her, but before he can say anything next, she walks away. After classes, he runs into Shirley, who was visiting a professor in the area, on his way to work, and they walk together. While at it, the two suddenly see Saki staring at them from across the street, and even though Saki is surprised to see them, she fakes an almost believable smile. After that, Saki keeps her interaction with him strictly professional at the workplace, and when it is time to head home, she sends him a text to go without her, claiming she has some shopping to do. So when he heads back alone, he starts to wonder what is wrong with her as he recollects the time she told him that they should not expect anything from each other. Getting home, he starts to go through the fridge with the hope of finding something that he can serve her for dinner. While at it, he grabs a food container just as she walks in on him and asks what he is doing because he looks like a hungry thief on a mission. He then explains that he wants to make her dinner as a means of appreciation for the time she has always pulled up for him. She gives him the go-ahead to warm the container in the microwave, and he gets to it. After dinner, he asks if she cares for coffee, and even though she wonders why he is suddenly being so caring, she agrees to get one. As he starts to prepare the coffee, he reminds her that he has still not gotten the contact information regarding the pool situation, and she proceeds to give him the contact information. He quickly stops her before she hits send, stating that he does not really care about the contact information. He then comes clean that he was just trying to look for a way to get her to have fun there, and not because he wants to go. Saki does not understand where he is coming from, so he explains that he initially told her he wanted to go because he thought she might get jealous. He also explains that her mother told her about how she always loved the pool as a youngster, so she lets him know that it was when she was a youngster. Still, he continues to encourage her by advising her to relax, and this makes her blurt out that she can't relax. Hearing this, she quickly writes out Maya's number and hands it to him before going to her room, claiming she wants to study. The next morning, she walks out of her room only to realize she woke up late because she had slept very late due to studying and thinking of what he told her the previous night. She apologizes for not waking up early to prepare breakfast, but he assures her to get rested. Due to her strong-headedness, she refuses and proceeds to the kitchen to make breakfast. He stops her midway and lets her know he does not want her to cook in such a state, so he gets her to sit while he prepares breakfast for both of them. Soon after, he serves the meal, and they eat together. As they continue to eat, Saki suddenly announces that they should go to the pool, but points out that the only problem they have is that they have work on the pool day. Utah, who is glad that she even decided to go, suggests that they can switch shifts with other workers. On the way to work after breakfast, Saki finally opens up to him by informing him that he must have figured she was in a bad mood when she saw him and Shiori together. She then tells him to let her know if they are going out for real. He quickly clarifies that they are not dating, and even though she acts like she doesn't really care, she is glad that they are not out, that she can't relax. He then points out that this is the main reason why he is worried about her, because if she continues to push herself, she is going to eventually crash. He knows she really wants to become independent very fast, but he advises her to still make time to rest. The day of the trip to the pool finally arrives, and Saki joins the others in the bus. However, only her body is in the bus, and her mind has traveled back to the past when her mother used to take her on trips when she was younger. Now that she is older, she realizes that she actually misses those times when she didn't have to worry about anything. Soon after, they all arrive at the pool, and she, along with the other chicks, comes out in their swimsuits to go meet the dudes. As they all start to play, she realizes that Utah is actually good at interacting with people, and when he is not cool with something, he lets them know immediately. This is one of the numerous reasons why she finds him attractive. Actually, the group then starts to play in the pool and hang out. While at it, Saki just keeps focusing her attention on Utah like he is her personal muse. She learns that instead of trying to stand out, he is always trying to make sure everyone else has fun. A behavior she finds really cool. Though she feels like the others do not notice this trait about him, she wonders if she is the only one who does. She then sits with him to ask for the reason behind his not wanting to be the center of attraction. He explains that he tries to avoid the spotlight because he does not want to end up screwing things up. Hearing this, she still compliments him for the trait, stating that she finds it really cool and comparing it to a stagehand who's devoted to assisting everyone. After this, the two then continue to sit in silence, enjoying the scenery until she excuses herself to go take a swim. She goes to join the others to play in the pool while he stares at her as she happily plays with the others. Watching her being so carefree and happy makes him remember the times she used to laugh. Right there and then, he realizes that he would not mind turning her laughter into happy noises. Later in the evening, he and the others sit inside the bus to begin their journey back home. He then uses the opportunity to think of his recent discovery. Though he has zero knowledge of bagging baddies because his mother found another guy's sausage better than his father's, the situation gave him a cynical view of the relationship between men and women, and that is why he had never been in love with anyone before. Now realizing this emotion most people regard as sacred and glorious, when he stares at Saki, he wonders how it sneaked on him like that. After getting back to their city, Maya tries to get his contact information to keep in touch, but his mind keeps going to why, out of all the baddies in the world, it's his little stepsister he finds attractive. As he and Saki walk home later that night, Saki points out that she noticed he has gotten friendly with Maya. He quickly clarifies that he was just trying to thank her for the invitation she extended to them, and addresses her as an incredible person. Hearing this, Saki thanks him for acknowledging Maya, because it makes her happy when people appreciate her friend. He then asks if Saki had a good time, and she confirms she did. However, she stops in her tracks seconds after, and opens up to him about swimming. Apparently, she loved swimming as a youngster, and she had not gotten the chance to enjoy swimming for a while, so the trip was really fun for her. She also informs him that she is glad he listened to her, and as usual, he is modest about it. He then proceeds to say something, but fireworks from a distance interrupt him. So the two focus on watching the fireworks. While at it, Saki praises him for being thoughtful and considerate, which catches him by surprise, because he was not expecting to hear that. Unknown to him, Saki said this because she thinks this is her chance to say it, so she continues to praise him and finally calls him Big Brother. Utah does not reply to this, and she nervously asks if he was surprised. She then continues to talk about how he takes care of her and goes out of his way just to help her with stuff. So she believes he is truly someone she can rely on like a real brother. Hearing this, he replies that he is glad that he sees him that way, and they continue to walk home. As they continue, Utah starts to think about how he was almost about to embarrass himself if not for the fireworks interruption. He feels Saki calling him Big Brother, even though he did not expect it, kind of brought him back to his senses. He then concludes that all her friendly behavior and the praises he showered him were all for her seeing him as a brother she can trust. He is glad that he did not do something to put a strain on their relationship as siblings, but he can't just stop his sudden crush on her now, and he wonders how he is going to act around her. Meanwhile, Saki is also in her own world, hoping he did not see her hands trembling when she called him big brother. She feels as if Yuta had liked her and chose to share it with her. She is not sure she will be able to reject the feelings. This scares her because she knows one step forward from him will trigger her release clause. The next morning, Saki wakes up to realize that her parents have taken the day off from work. Coincidentally, Saki and Yuta also have the day off, and this makes Saki's mother happy that they can all spend the day together. Hearing this makes Saki happy because she loves to see her mother happy enough to make up for all the hard times. So she returns to her room to pick up the keys she uses to lock her diary box, with the aim of throwing it away, because finding out she has strong feelings for Yuta will only spoil their parents' happiness. She then goes out and throws the keys away for good, just as Yuta wakes up from his sleep. Getting to the living room for his morning tea, Saki's mother uses the opportunity to thank him for taking Saki to the pool. He quickly clarifies that Saki's friend actually invited them, but her mother informs him that she would not have gone if he had not dragged her along. Not long after, Saki returns home with short hair, which leaves Yuta completely stunned, but when he tells her welcome home, she replies with, "Thank you, big brother." A few weeks later, Maya discusses with Saki and the other student volunteers on preparations for the upcoming parent-teacher conference. After they are done with the meeting, Saki goes through her phone while some of the students suggest they go for karaoke. Saki quickly informs Moya that she has some errands to run, so she won't be joining them. As she leaves, Shinjo, one of the students who also happens to be crushing on her, watches her with a disappointed look on his face till his friend interrupts him. Not long after, Saki returns home to meet her mother and immediately asks if she still has time to spare. Her mother informs her that she has already called her work to let them know she will be running late, so she does not have to rush. So she asks her mother why she texted her for a physical meeting at the upcoming parent-teacher meeting when she could have just sent a text. Her mother claims that a text would not get the job done and that she also wanted to be sure about something, and asks about how things are going with Yuta at school. Saki replies that they are in different classes, so things have been pretty much the same. Her mother then asks if the other students know about their relationship, and she replies that she does not think so because they have not really been telling anyone. Hearing this confirms her mother's worst fear, and she opens up about how she is planning to attend both of their meetings on the same day because Yuta's father is busy with work and she can't really take multiple days off. The problem now is that if she attends both on the same day, the other students will find out that they are siblings. Moments after, Yuta returns home, and Saki's mother quickly briefs him on how they are discussing what to do with his parent-teacher meeting. Confused, he wonders why, and he learns that his father is too busy to attend, so Saki's mother is planning to attend on his behalf. Saki's mother also informs him that he and Saki can schedule their meetings on different days, and she will look for a way to make it work. This is how he finds out Saki's mother knows they've not told anybody at school about their relationship, and he wonders about the stress she will have to go through to go to school twice. He feels it's unfair on her part, but she dismisses his worries and proceeds to get to work. Saki follows soon after, claiming she is going to work too, and he bids her farewell. At work, Saki reminisces about what her mother told her while they were having their discussion earlier. She opened up to her about how she feels Yuta has not yet accepted her as his mother, and it makes her a little sad. So later in the evening, Saki returns home to talk about it with Yuta and sees that Yuta has already made dinner. Thankfully, Yuta also wants to speak about it because they said it at the same time, so he suggests they eat and talk about it. As they start to eat, Yuta lets her know that he does not have a problem with people knowing that she is his sister, but it's not a decision he can take alone. Saki informs him that she feels the same way, too, and they both agree that they don't want to make the situation harder for their parents. Yuta then suggests they schedule for the same day so that it will be easier for her mother, and she informs him that he will let her know of their decision. They then proceed to wash the dishes. While at it, they reach an agreement to suppress any rated feelings they have for each other and focus on being step-siblings to keep their parents happy. The next morning, Yuta informs his father about the latest development before going to work, and he talks about how his wife will be happy about it too. Yuta then learns that Saki's mother has always told his father about how she has always wanted them to be a real family. So if she knows that he has actually accepted her to be a part of his family, it would really make her happy. Soon after, Saki walks out of her room to greet them and address them as dad and big brother respectively. She then shows him a text she sent about their decision, which shocks him, and she replies that their decision really made Mom happy. On the way to school, Utah starts to think about how Saki now addresses them like they are a real family. Getting to school, he quickly informs Maru about his relationship with Saki. Maru apologizes for saying some cultured stuff about her because he was not aware of their relationship, and he accepts his apology. Meanwhile, Saki is currently hanging out with friends, and one of them brings up the idea of hanging out later in the month. They all agree on going bowling, but Saki is skeptical about joining because she might be studying or working. Shinjo notices this and suggests they hold a study session instead of hanging out to favor her. They then begin to think of a location they can use, and Mommy suggests they use her house. After that, they all head to the locker room to continue their discussion, oblivious to the fact that Utah is there to check his locker. He sees Saki laughing at what Mommy says, and even though her smile drives him crazy, he knows better than to act on it. Getting to work, Shiori teases him for looking sad because he has not been sharing many shifts with Saki lately. She then encourages him to open up to him about why he is feeling down, and he assures her that nothing is going on and they are just siblings. In a bid to cheer him up, she lets him know that her college is holding an open campus event soon and invites him. She then assures her that surrounding himself with hot college chicks will definitely cheer him up. He then sighs and confirms that she goes to a women's college. Not long after, he sees a customer struggling to find a book, and he goes to help her out. Getting to her, he finds out that she is the hot chick in glasses from his summer cram school, and he learns that her name is Kaho. Meanwhile, Saki is back at home, seriously missing Utah, and she wonders if trying to keep a distance from him is a good idea, because she does not want to avoid him completely. The day of the parent-teacher conference finally arrives, and their mother confirms their schedule to see if she does not mix it up before they go to school. At school, Utah runs into Maya, who is also waiting for the meeting, only to learn that Saki has already returned home. Apparently, Saki returned home to wake their mom up, because she is worried she may wake up late. Maya then asks for the 100th time if he is into Saki. Utah replies that he is not and continues to place emphasis on the fact that they are siblings. Seeing that he looks like he is telling the truth, Maya asks if she can set her up with someone else, because she knows someone who is currently going crazy for her. Though he feels a certain way about the question, he replies that it is not something that requires her to ask for his permission. Soon after, Utah escorts his mother to his class, and before they enter, she assures him that she will do her best, which makes him smile in appreciation. Inside the class, his classroom teacher lets them know he will not have any trouble getting into a famous university and compliments her for raising him well. Hearing this makes her so excited that she has to clench her hands before she floats to cloud 9. Just then, Utah also acknowledges her by telling the teacher that he is grateful to his mother. After the meeting, Saki overhears her mother talking about how she has to hurry to her class, and happily thanks him for the way he addressed her during the meeting, which makes Saki relieved. During Saki's meeting, her class teacher talks about how there was a rumor circulating about her one period, and from careful observation, the teacher found out that she is nothing like the rumors, which makes them relieved. The teacher then moves on to a college she would like to attend, and when she learns that she is looking for one with low tuition costs that will put her in a good position for the job market, she recommends a college she can check out. She also hands her a flyer of the school, stating that they have an open campus event that weekend, which she can check out. That weekend, Saki goes to college, and she is shocked to see Shiori at the reception. Shiori, on the other hand, is very excited to see her at her school, so she decides to show her around campus before the event starts. Saki is skeptical about this, and just then, Kudo, a lecturer who is supposed to speak at the event, walks up to them to greet them. Shiori then introduces Saki to Kudo, and Kudo moves up to her to check her out. After she is done, she informs her that she can sense she is struggling with something. She then walks to her office and tells Saki to accompany her since she still has some time left before the lecture. As Kudo walks away, Shiori shades her for always trying to hit on someone, but Kudo turns and orders Saki to follow her. Inside her office, Saki learns that Shiori might as well have been a gossip blogger because she had already told Kudo a little about her and Utah. Though Shiori did not tell Kudo their name, she still gave them information about them. Kudo gets straight to the point and asks if she has fallen for Utah. Saki asks why she is interested, and she replies that her response is all she needs to confirm. Saki feels offended about this and cuts to the chase about how she dislikes her. Kudo replies that she likes honest chicks, and then repeats her question about her liking Utah. Saki tries to evade the question by stating he is a good brother, but Kudo keeps pestering her that she meant it romantically. As this is going on, Utah runs into Kaho at the library, and Kaho suggests they go to the convenience store for lunch. By the time they reach the convenience store and start getting the snacks they want, Saki has finally told Kudo about how she truly feels about Yuta. Hearing this, Yuta proposes that she may not have felt romantic feelings for him in the first place. To prove her point, she informs Saki that from the way Shiori described her, she figures she is someone who likes to use fashion as a way to show herself off. However, Kudo thinks that the fact that she showed up at the college shows that she is a serious student. She then informs Kudo that she came based on her teacher's recommendation, but this only proves her point on how serious she is. Refusing to back down, she explains that she is using her fashion to prove that she can use what she has to look pretty. She also informs her that she didn't come to the school because she is a serious student. She claims that she came because she thinks it might help her make the best life she can have for herself. This makes Kudo inform her that she can see that she is the type who is always fighting to be herself. So the stronger she fights, the more she needs love and approval, and when someone shows her the tiniest gesture of support, she becomes attached. Meanwhile, at the convenience store, Kaho figures that Yuta is not trying to ask her out like she initially thought. She then apologizes for jumping to a conclusion and blames it on not going to a normal school because she attends a night school instead. Back at Kudo's office, Kudo continues to diagnose Saki's personality, and she informs Saki that only a few people truly understand her. So when she realizes that Yuta is one of them, she falls for him. She tries to counter it, but she can't even do it with confidence because she knows it is the truth. Kudo advises her to try engaging a lot of people, and she will definitely find someone else she will be drawn to one day. When that time comes, and her feelings remain unchanged, Kudo assures her that those are her true feelings and she should always treasure them. Back at home that night, Saki explains to Yuta at dinner about how she ran into Shiori and Kudo during her visit to the college she went to. Yuta then asks if she is willing to go to college, and she replies that she would love to give it a shot. She also asks if he will keep going to the study lounge, and he replies that he will. He then informs her of a new friend he made there and how they will be going for lunch again the next day. This makes Yuta happy that they are settling into getting to know other people and having a normal sibling relationship. The next day, Saki attends the study session her friends set up at Maya's house, which is actually a plus for her because she is starting to learn how to rely on people. After the session, she and Shinjo stop at the convenience store to get some stuff, and as they exit the store with their packages, Yuta, who is at the restaurant having lunch with Kaho, sees them from afar. He soon returns his focus to Kaho, and as they continue to discuss, Kaho figures that he may have some problems with his love life, and Yuta uses the chance to open up about how he fell for someone he should never have fallen for. He also explains that if he tries to submit to his true desires, it is only going to cause problems for everyone he knows. Sensing that it is a serious issue, Kaho suggests that they hit the town that night because she would love to show him something. In the meantime, Shinjo decides to pull out his rizzing skills and informs Saki that he digs her. Saki is flattered to hear this, but unfortunately, she does not feel the same. So she turns him down without even giving him the grace of, "I will think about it." Confused, he asks if she has someone she is seeing, and she says no. Then he asks if she at least has a crush, and even though her voice breaks a little, she says no still. This makes him sad that she really must not want him at all, but he has no other option, so he tells her he won't bother with it again. Later in the night, Kaho shows Yuta a place that she used to frequent as a middle schooler. Yuta wonders why she is showing him that, and she replies that she reminds him of her old self, and it pisses her off. Just as Kaho did not have a woman to count on while growing up, it is also the same for Kaho. However, in her own case, she lost total interest in humanity as a whole. Apparently, Kaho lost both her parents to an accident when she was in middle school, and that was when she found out both of her parents' families were against their marriage from the start. Instead of caring for her during the burial, they all just mocked her parents, and it was her aunt who eventually pitied her and took her in. When she moved in with her, her aunt gave her a word of advice on reconciliation and opening her heart to forgiveness, and the advice touched her heart so much that she spent the whole night crying. Kaho then asks him if he will be able to suppress the feelings he has. He explains that he can't let out the feelings he has. She then advises him by letting him know that if he continues to deceive his heart and not resolve the feelings he has, it will scorn him and leave him scarred forever. The next morning, he settles down for breakfast with Saki. As they eat, he talks about how he saw her exiting the convenience store with some dude the previous day. Saki confirms that she was with Shinjo, and Saki says he couldn't tell his face from the place he was sitting at the restaurant. She then asks where he went the previous day, which made him arrive late at night. He replies that he was out with the new friend he mentioned he was going to have lunch with. Saki quickly pauses to confirm if the new friend he is referring to is a chick. Yuta is skeptical about how to answer this question, but he says yes. So Saki, who is just enjoying the gist, tells him to continue with his story. He then continues by explaining how the outing gave him the chance to think about a lot of things, and he plans to work something out. Confused, Saki asks him to explain what he means by that, and he finally gathers the courage to confess that he has strong feelings for her. Hearing this makes Saki pause for a little while till she asks if he is trying to crack a joke. He replies that he cannot make such a cruel joke, and she finally believes because she knows he would never do something so heartless. To further confirm his confession, she asks if he meant it in a brotherly way or in a way that will allow them to fondle each other, and he picks the latter. Even after hearing this, Saki chooses to stay in denial and starts to talk about how siblings can feel that way with each other. Soon after, her emotions get hold of her, and she runs to her room, leaving him alone. 30 minutes later, he goes to knock on the door of her room to see if she has calmed down a bit. Receiving no response, he begins to feel bad that she may have pushed her too far with his confession. He proceeds to knock again, and thankfully, she opens this time around. After opening her door, she pulls him into her room, stating that she is okay with his feelings. Inside the room, she proceeds to hug him deeply, which catches him completely off guard because he can literally feel her melons. She then thanks him for gathering the courage to inform her of his feelings in the first place, because the weight of bottling up the feelings would have been very hard on him. After that, she grabs his hand and promises to carry the weight of the feelings, too. Whether he has feelings for her as her brother or something more, she is okay with it because, whichever it is, she is happy regardless. Hearing this shocks him to the bones because he was not expecting this type of reaction from her, and he tells her okay. She then opens up about how she is not sure if the feelings she has for him are because he is his brother or something more, but if they can give each other comfort by hugging each other when they need it, she will be happy with that. The two of them then come to a compromise because they do not want to hurt their parents. Even though it is going to hurt like crazy that they may never get the chance to rip each other's clothes off, they promise to protect their brother-sister relationship. That's the end of today's video. If you've stayed this long, let me know in the comments if you are cracking Saki on the first night. Make sure you watch this video on screen. Please give me plenty of likes and subscribe to the channel if you want to see another recap like this. Peace.